Okay, I wanted to get the walk up there to kind of show the landscape. So just trying to show that you don't have to do stick built.
Yeah.
And the different prices that things will be. And
yeah. So during the academy, there's half of the time you have theoretical lessons, half of the time practical work. And generally, like in a month in these international builds, you would actually build a completely sustainable house. Thanks to all the students, the experts who are there, it just makes it happen. But the interesting thing, as you say, is I had this experience in building airships, but not in living in them. So being able to be here in the community, even for the students, what you see here is also student housing. So the students are learning how to make airships, but at the same time they're living in some. And they might experience problems, therefore they'll ask someone, and then people will tell them this is how you do the maintenance of this system and that system. So as you say, I think it's really, it's a great way to get to know these kind of houses. Here we have what we call the simple survival. It's one of the most basic kind of houses that Earthship makes, and it started with disaster relief. Welcome to a simple survival.
oh my goodness, is that a fig?
Yeah, a fig tree.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yeah.
I've got it. I'm just going to stop talking, let you talk. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about how cool it is.
But you can talk, So this is a room. One of the students was here, but she was a little bit ill, so she's gone now. So I'm sorry if there's a little bit of mess. But just so you can see, so this is basically tires which go up to here, which form a U. And then above this, there's a cement vault, which basically goes up. And then this vault is completely buried, and there's a roof on top, which basically harvests the water, as we said. So the water will go this way, and now behind the house, airships are usually buried at the back. We have the cistern, which keeps all the water, and we also have these tubes which go under the ground and let cool air in. So right now, if you put your hand, you can actually feel it, and you feel how cool it is. So usually you'd want to, have them at least 1.5 meters kind of underground to reach a kind of certain level where the ground temperature stays the same all year long. And you want them at least 6 meters long. I'm sorry, I don't use imperial.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
So does the earth over the Earthship count as that depth? Or do you have to go into the actual...
No, sorry, because the earth over the Earthship is actually on the roof itself. And then, so this would be all the earth which is, burying the back of the Earthship.
And this is just out the side of that depth?
This is really like the complete burial of behind the house.
Okay.
This is what this is. And so the water, the cistern also being buried means that as there's no sunlight, you don't necessarily have algae formation. And then also when it's -30 in the winter here, you're sure that your water's not going to freeze. And if it's also very hot, then it stays cool. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah. And so this is a natural finishing. So right here, the earth that we have here has got clay, not too much. So what we do is we have 1 of clay for 2 of sands. And then we use really like small bits of straw in the mix. But as you can see, like it doesn't even really crack much. It's a really good kind of earth. I mean, the indigenous people here in Taos, in the Pueblo, use adobes, the earth ever since. It's been, I think it's more than 1,000 years old now, and the houses are still there. They might need to replaster them, but. So the water, I'll show you where it comes from. As I said, this is really the most simple, basic version of an Earthship that you will find. So right here for the drinking water, we have a ceramic filter. So you can take the water, just put it in, and you'll have your filtration, which again you need any high-tech kind of equipment to filtrate it. And you have pumps, which are going to take the water, you know, to the top. As I was showing you, these different tanks which are basically insulated behind the window, aiming, you know, at the sun, and therefore heat up. And so you have a pump whenever you activate it, which is going to fill them up, and then it'll mix cold water and hot water together, which you can use in the kitchen or also in the shower.
So one question, the decision not to go for composting or some like solids versus liquids with your toilet system, instead to go with a flushable toilet.
That came because at the beginning Michael Reynolds started doing solar dry toilets, which are extremely efficient, but it's just that people did not like looking or having to deal with, you know, their excrements. Basically that's the main reason why Earthship went with the water. But then, you know, going with flushing toilets, the whole idea was to say, okay, we do not want to be using all this good water on them, and this is why you have, you know, someone using the kitchen. From the kitchen, the water now goes into these different, you know, botanical cells, and then you have a pump which takes this water into the toilet. So it's never water which is pure, it's always reused. But some of the houses here in the community do have composting toilets.
And with just precipitation, do you have a well on site, or is it all from the cistern?
So inside the houses, each individual house is pretty much autonomous water-wise. We're in the desert, so we have very little rainfall, but generally it's enough for all the consumption of the house.
Even with this many people coming through?
Yeah.
But you bathe off-site. You have the hot springs.
No. People take showers. There's a shower here.
Even with the cistern.
Yeah, they take showers within the house. But, you know, then there's also so many different ways in which you can make it more efficient, let's say. So if you did not have the flushing toilet, your water will be able to, you know, be filtered a lot more within here. Imagine, I mean, you feel the humidity. You said, like earlier on, your camera had a problem. You could even harvest the humidity within these greenhouses, because first of all you have heat. So if you're able to create a heat exchange and drag this air in there, you would be able to harvest this humidity which has been filtered by the plants and which is now completely pure. So this could be your drinking water or used for something else. So you could take the efficiency to any kind of level you want to.
But I don't smell any mold. A lot of just house plants will get mold in them, but I smell nothing.
Right. The system itself is, so in a lot of permaculture, let's say communities, you do also have water, you know, filtration, different systems. Quite a few actually have the water staying outside, kind of visible. The problem with those systems is it has a lot of smell too. So what we have in these botanical cells is that when the water comes in, a pipe goes at the bottom of it. They're completely sealed, you know, so they don't leak. And the water will go at the bottom, and at the bottom we'll have gravel to help it kind of circulate. And then there's a layer of sand, and then there's a layer of earth. The sand is just to make sure that the earth doesn't go down and therefore stop the flow of the water. So that means that also any smell that the water will have stays, you know, below the earth and does not come out. Now, these plants also, what they have is they have a lot of aeration, because we have this whole kind of air system flowing the whole time. And the lady who's responsible also tries to mix, you know, the right species together. So generally we don't have any problem. You might have some problems if, for example, in summer when it gets very hot, you're not using the aeration system well enough and it gets too much heat. Then sometimes parasites come in. But generally, yeah, there's never any problem. The smell that we have now is from the fig tree. That's actually the smell that we have.
Oh, I can't even smell anything. I just smell clean air.
Great.
And so what's down here? This is your cooking area?
Yeah, so this would be the cooking area for these two rooms. So in this one we have these two use, so one here and one next to it, which create these 2 rooms, and to have a kind of space where they could, you know, use the kitchen, both of them. This is why we put it here in the middle. But each one of them, as you'll see in the next house, which has only got one of these rooms, it's also within the room itself.
And that's your shower?
That's the shower there.
And so I know we've, as a family, we had talked about doing a solar shower for our RV.
Okay.
But the problem is you're going to scald yourself if it's a hot day. But you guys mix cold water because you know that you're going to have hot water.
Exactly. So we just mix both of them together. So here is our pump, which is basically, it's not automatic. We're in the simple version. You activate yourself. So you can choose whatever you want to fill up in the morning. You just fill up your tanks, which are in the sun. Once they're full, it's basically the water overflows, but it just goes straight, you know, into the plant. So that's all we have, and then you just leave it all day to heat up, you know, with the sun, and then you can use it afterwards, because it's still insulated in any case, so the heat stays for a long time. And the shower itself is very simple. You can see that you've actually got mint? Plants. Yeah. It's
oh my
mint.
Goodness, you have mint in your shower.
Which I think this is probably an accident. It just, you know, ended up growing by itself.
But no water damage. You've got people showering in here, but I don't see any mold.
No. But again, it's the flow of air, and yeah, you know, there's an exchange also with the other. With the greenhouse here, so we've got a flow of air the whole time. And here you can see that you have the hot and cold that you can put together. So this one here is connected to this tank, which is not, you know, behind the window, and then this one is.
So it's cold, so you can mix it.
Yeah, so you can mix it together.
This is so simple and so beautiful. Okay, so